Hello, everybody. My name is Marilyn Mangan, and I am the Director of Recruitment and Strategic Initiatives for the College of Engineering here at Purdue in Indianapolis. And I am really happy to be able to welcome all of you to this broadcast. I also want to say welcome and congratulations for being admitted into the Motorsports Engineering program. Tonight, what we have going on is we've got an hour. Most of it will be Q&A. You will notice that you can put questions into the chat. Some of the questions will be answered live. Some will be answered behind the scenes in the chat. And so, start thinking, if you haven't already, about the questions that you have. To do this tonight, I have got the director of the Motorsports Engineering program with us, and then we have 3 current motorsports engineering students. So with that, Chris, I'm going to turn this over to you. And if you could introduce yourself and then just maybe talk to us a little bit about the motorsports program and what you think is the most important things to know.
Great. Thanks, Marilyn. As Marilyn said, my name's Chris Finch. I'm the director of the Motorsports Engineering program. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Just kind of as a background, if you haven't looked at on LinkedIn to see who I am. So I started with the program in 2014. The program's inception was 2008. I am a professional race engineer. I've been in professional motorsports in IndyCar and IMSA since 1995. I still actively race engineer in IMSA for Brian Herta Autosport as the tech director and the race engineer along with doing this. So the program's been around since 2008. We transitioned to the School of Mechanical Engineering in 2024. The program is a Bachelor of Science degree in motorsports engineering. It's gone through 3 accreditation cycles with ABET. So that means it's an established engineering discipline, just like mechanical engineering or electrical engineering. Right now, we're the only accredited program in the nation. We are similar to, but unique from mechanical engineering because we do offer courses in vehicle dynamics, systems engineering, motorsports aerodynamics, race engineering. We do our own motorsports design classes. We also have classes in SolidWorks and Advanced SolidWorks. We also support a professional master's program with a motorsports engineering concentration. So we had graduate level classes. We have a industry advisory board that's supported by professionals, colleagues really of mine, but they're professionals within IndyCar, IMSA, NASCAR, and also tier 1 suppliers to all of those industries. So we're also, right now, we are in close partnership with Dallara. So we do teach classes at Dallara, plus we have a 7,300 square foot race shop at Dallara as well. That's part of, it's not really a lab. It's more of a makerspace area that students interact with the vehicles and the equipment we have there. Fast developing program. We have myself plus a few others who are engaged in the industry. So we do everything we can to keep current. And that's reflected in the classes that we offer and the material we offer in our classes. So I think that about covers it, Marilyn.
Okay, thanks. I think now, Musa, I'm going to go to you to introduce yourself, and then Layla, and then Whitney. If you just all want to maybe tell us your name, which I just said, but where you're from, and maybe a little bit of your involvement on campus.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Musa Miller. I'm from South Bend, Indiana, and I'm a sophomore in the Motorsports Engineering program here. I'm a member of the Motorsports Engineering Club and the Endurance Racing Club, and I also help out with PPA, which is Professional Practice Ambassadors.
Hi, I'm Layla, senior in the Motorsports Engineering program. I graduate this December. I'm from 45 minutes north of Indy, and I'm also in the Motorsports Engineering Club. I'm one of the board members. I'm a crew chief for one of the carts. And I also help in the Office of Professional Practice as a TA for one of the freshman engineering courses. And I occasionally help out in the Motorsports program with a few different things.
Hello, I'm Whitney. I'm a sophomore in the motorsports program. I'm from Indiana originally. I'm involved with the data mine learning community as well as the Taiwanese Student Association and Women in Engineering. I also joined a pickleball rec team last semester.
Okay, as you can see, there's lots of, the students are involved in lots of things, not just motorsports, but I do have a question that says, what kind of motorsports clubs are there? So Lola, I'm going to give this to you first, and then anybody else, if you raise your hand or if you want to jump in afterwards.
Yeah, so off the top of my head, we have quite a few different motorsports programs. We have the Motorsports Engineering Club, there's the Endurance Racing Club. Those are two specifically on the Indianapolis campus. And then in West Lafayette, obviously they're going to have Baja, they'll have FSAE, and there's a few other motorsports related clubs that I can't really think of the names, but there's a lot of different options.
So I'll add two to that. We also have the Motorsports Sim Club. We're getting a lot of support with that. We've got 5 simulators now, driver in the loop simulators. We're gaining traction again with our partnership with Delara. There's a lot of cool things on the horizon for that club. And then in the works, not established yet, but probably within a year, no more than 2, we'll have a Formula Student Club, similar to Formula SAE. Formula Student Club will be based in Indianapolis at Delara, and they'll be building a car that will only compete in Europe under the Formula Student rulebook. So those are the 2. And there's probably a couple more coming that are in the gestation period that us as faculty will help students create and get up and running.
Okay, that's great, Chris. I'm learning some things. Okay, the next question, and Chris, I think this is for you. Can I double major in mechanical engineering and motorsports engineering as a freshman?
So, yes, the advisors will advise against it because what you are required to do, you can double major in any engineering discipline. You can go motorsports engineering and electrical engineering. You can go motorsports engineering and aero engineering. And the problem when you double major like that is you are required to fulfill all of the requirements of both disciplines. So usually it takes, depending on the discipline, it can take 6, maybe 6.5, 7 years. Our recommendation is that we recommend students do what's called a 4+1. So in their junior year, students elect to do the +1, which means starting your senior year, you would start taking graduate level classes, and then your final year, the +1 or the 5th year, you would take nothing but graduate level classes, and then you would graduate with an undergraduate degree in motorsports engineering and then a master's degree in mechanical engineering. That's really a better marketing and better education than trying to get 2 degrees. You can get 2 degrees if you have a passion for industrial engineering. You can get a bachelor's of science in motorsports engineering and a bachelor's of science in industrial engineering. It's just, again, you have to fulfill the requirements of both degrees. Mechanical and motorsports are going to be closer together, but it's still going to add at least another year to 2 years to your trip through college.
Thank you. And this one, the next question is, what resources are available on campus for motorsports students if they are struggling in their coursework? So I'm going to, Whitney, do you want to start with that? And then the other, Layla and Musa, if you want to jump in.
Sure, I can mention help rooms. I've used those a lot this semester. We have help rooms for each major. I think 4 of my classes are all in the same help room. So EL 104 is the room, and there's like 4 tutors sitting in the room for like a good amount of hours every day. They're helping tutor 4 different classes, and it's really convenient just for me to go there and do homework kind of a thing, and ask questions when I need help. But I found that really helpful this semester.
Yeah, we also have lots of other resources you can use, such as like going to office hours. So office hours are like scheduled times where you can go and meet with like your professor or your TA for whatever course that you're taking, and they'll help you out with that course, with whatever you're struggling with in that course, and those are pretty useful for people. And I know that there's also like peer tutors, so people that can tutor you in specific classes, as well as like just a bunch of resources you can utilize.
I think the last one I'll add on is the Math Assistance Center, or the MAC. It's a really great resource that's housed by both Purdue and IU students, so they're both available for all of them. And I think it's every single math class. They have people who are there from, I don't know what time it opens, but until like 8 p.m. that can help you with any math homework or any questions like that. It's also just a great place to do homework, honestly.
Chris, do you have anything to add? I saw you gave the thumbs up for the office hours.
Yeah, office hours big. Actually, most faculty members will tell you it's the most underutilized time of a faculty's time on campus when they're in their office. It's the best resource, in my opinion. A lot of times, if you work with the faculty, if you get a group of people together, like I teach vehicle dynamics, and occasionally I'll get a group of 4 or 5 students that want mentoring help, and I'll schedule something. But the big thing is as the student, you got to be proactive with that. I know for a lot of the ME courses, the core ME courses, ME 200, ME 270, and ME 274, which is thermostatics and then dynamics, they're talking about getting grad TAs in the dorms and in other areas that can help students, because those are usually sophomore level, 3 of the hardest classes that students will struggle with. So, yep.
Okay, great advice all the way around. Okay, next question, and Chris, I think this is back to you. What are the internship opportunities like in the area? I'm assuming they mean for motorsports.
They can be good. They can be difficult. You have to consider that when you're talking IndyCar teams, you're talking IMSA teams, especially the WeatherTech GTP teams. You're looking at the equivalent here in the United States of a Formula One team. You're looking at the equivalent of an NFL team, an NBA team. There are proactive internships with the teams, but they don't always recruit every single year. As our network grows, we're getting a lot more interest from what we call tier 1 suppliers, Pratt Miller, Goodyear Racing, Hoosier Tire, let's see, Bosch Motorsports US. We also have a good network with a lot of the mid-level teams in IMSA, the GS class, GTD class, IndyCar, or Indy Next, USF 2000. We've got a lot of students who go and do Porsche Cup, Ferrari, Lamborghini Super Trofeo, because a lot of those small teams, they just need help. And what I've noticed over the years, students that go and do kind of physical, move tires, like at Brian Herta, we've got one, two, three, four, five interns. Two of our interns, both are freshmen. They work in our fuel area, and they work in our tire. One works in our tire area, and it's great experience because you know they are integral part of the team. They are understanding the ebb and flow of what happens to a race weekend. They're engaged in pit stop activity. And they're also, because they're demonstrating their work ethic to me. So when we have a systems engineer intern move out, then we look at recruiting from within. So that's these teams and a lot of these businesses, they come to us, but you also have to be very proactive. And it's one of the reasons why, like this May, we're starting to get interest from a couple Formula One teams and a couple Tier 1 suppliers in the UK and Italy. So we're going to go and try to get a bigger international presence as well.
I love that. We have another question that pertains to, to employment. And so how common is it, Chris, for students to have jobs lined up in motorsports after graduation?
It depends. We've seen students go to tier two supplier, like a local supplier to the teams, and work for a couple years, establish themselves, and then next thing I know, I'm talking with the tech director at Arrow McLaren, and they've hired that student because they've established themselves outside of school, and they're like, "This is the best person we've ever hired in this." You gotta. I always say, remember, like I said, these teams, IndyCar teams, whether you're talking Ganassi, Andretti, Arrow McLaren, Penske, um, Rahal Letterman Racing. They're here in town. They're the best of the best in the business, and they recruit nationally. But I will say, by getting this program and being engaged in the program with what we do, being engaged in the clubs, it helps tremendously. I look at Ganassi, and we have about 12 alumni there. Arrow McLaren, we have 6 alumni that work there. Penske, we're at like 2 or 3, but what's only because they're in Charlotte, so it's a little harder. Rahal Letterman Racing, we're about 4 to 6. Andretti, we're sitting at 4 to 6. So, it's tough, but it's not achievable. But I've also seen students really succeed as they're willing to go work in Indy next and establish themselves. And next thing you know, they're working in IndyCar. I've seen students work in Porsche Carrera Cup, and next thing you know, this individual's engine engineer for Ilmore, supporting Pato Award at Arrow McLaren. We have alumni at X-Track, so it's out there. It's just it is an industry. It's like any other sports business. It takes tenacity and a real desire to be there, and believe it or not, success will come.
I know that I have seen it over the years. A lot of our students out there working, living the dream, I think. I'm going to let you off the hook for a second here, Chris. And the next question is, what is the social life like? So, Musa, do you want to start with that? And then Whitney, if you've got something, and Layla, if you want to jump into after Whitney.
Yeah, sure. So, I would say Indianapolis, this location is pretty like tight knit. It's a kind of small community, you could say. So like you get to know people a lot better and you're able to relate to people a lot better just because you see them so often. Um, so you'll find yourself hanging out and making friends with a lot of people here. And especially in motorsports too, since the motorsports community is pretty tight knit as well. You'll find yourself just making friends with lots of people in motorsports, lots of people in other majors and all that.
Kind of adding on to what Musa was saying, it is very tight knit, but I feel like I've found a lot of supportive friends and peers. And I think like taking a lot of the same classes with everyone is very helpful in the sense of getting to know people because you see them every day. And then you also know pretty much everyone's faces at least, and then you get to know a lot of people's names, which I think is really cool. But there's lots to do, hang out with people and kind of a thing. It's pretty cool.
Layla, do you want to add? And what I'm going to ask you guys, though, you guys said hang out, but where do you hang out? I mean, do you hang out on campus? Do you go downtown? You know, what are Layla, I'm gonna let you take it for a minute, but then Musa and Whitney, I know you do more than just, well, maybe not, but curious to see where you're going. Are you going to concerts? Are you going to Pacers games? What kind of things are you doing?
I think the most part, like my group of friends, most of us are in the Motorsports Engineering Club, so we see each other at least once a week there. And a lot of times after club, if we want to, we'll all go get dinner together sometimes. Not the entire club, that'd be like a lot of people, but some of the people who are close friends will all go out to dinner sometimes. We stay pretty busy on the weekends just because we usually have some sort of, especially going to like March and April, we'll have like testing and then preparing for our race in April. But other than that, I mean, we hang out sometimes, watch races together if we have the opportunity, but it's hard to get everyone together because being an upperclassman, a lot of people are out of town at the races working or just busy in general. They can't always get together.
I would say there's a lot to do in the city. I mean, we are in Indianapolis. I'll find myself maybe walking around downtown or like going to Speedway to watch a race if there's a race going on, going to a Pacers game, going to a concert. It really just depends on what I feel like doing.
Yes, I did something over the summer. It's called Indie Amplified, but essentially they took us around these different parts like museums and things of like cultural significance in Indianapolis. And I think there's a lot to explore in Indianapolis, which I haven't done fully yet. But other than going to concerts and restaurants and stuff, there's some fun places just to kind of hang out with your friends, and also study, I think is fun too. The school does give some free tickets to certain events like symphony orchestra concerts or like Pacers games. Those are really popular. They also like take us on trips. Like we went to Turkey Run State Park for a day. That was really fun just to go hiking for a whole day. And yeah, I don't know.
Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to put you in the spot. I just hear you all the time talking about the different things you're doing, and so I thought it was just thought it could be elaborated upon a little bit. And Whitney, I'm going to give you this question because I know that you're involved. Would you recommend joining a learning community, especially as a motorsports engineering student?
Yes. I learning communities, if you're not familiar with them, is kind of just Purdue's way of grouping people in their living housing kind of thing, with people that are going through similar experiences. So for example, like there's the motorsports learning community, there's Epics and VIP learning community, there's the honors learning community for honors college. We also have the data and mind learning community, which I'm a part of. Technically you can be a part of multiple, but it's a great way to like meet people because these learning communities will host like outside social events outside of school. So not academic related, you're meeting people outside of the academic setting and getting to know people who are probably going through similar experiences as you. There's free food, there's games, there's kind of just like really chill nights where you get to just socialize with people. There's also more professional like outside events. So for example, the Data and Mind Learning Community, it's a learning community where students get to work on data projects with corporate partners. So for example, my team this year is working with Rolls-Royce and we're analyzing engine sensor data. But this data mind learning community, they do like making trail, from anything from making trail mix to like professional speakers from the industry. And then also like professional, like, what's it called? Workshops kind of a thing. So they're all like wide range, and I believe you can rank your choices on the housing portal, but I would highly recommend joining one, yes. But if you aren't in one, like definitely take advantage of any like of the social events that are happening on campus, because those are great.
I knew you'd be able to answer that. Okay, so this next question, I think it kind of depends on your perspective. And Chris, if you could give me your faculty opinion on this, and if you don't really have an opinion, feel free to tell me. But someone's asking if they have transfer credits, from AP courses or dual enrollment. Do you think it's better to retake the classes or, keep the transfer credit that they can keep? I just wondered if
It's a
you've
great
seen anything. Yeah.
it's a great question. I think it comes down to the individual. I've seen both sides of that coin. I had an individual who had AP credit for Calc 1, um, started Calc 2 as a freshman, and after the first 2 weeks of class, went down to the math professor and said, I have no idea what you're talking about. And he said, oh, well, we just reviewed Calc 1. So he was like, oh my gosh. Um, so but I've seen the opposite as well. Like even with my daughter, she did early college here at a local high school, got her associate's degree, already did physics, chemistry, math, and a lot of other degrees, and she's at UCincy being very successful. So, and I've seen other students come into the program that are successful. It's a great question, but I think you have to self-assess a little bit, because even though you're getting advanced placement in high school, the three students here will tell you the tempo and pace of college classes is different than high school. And it can be a bit of a shock because you're 16 weeks, you're flat out. Homework's due when homework's due, as Layla hears me say it all the time. It's like it's due when it's due, and there's not a lot of wiggle room there where you get a little more wiggle room in high school. So I it's tough, right? It's really an individual that I think you have to self-assess, and understand that if you're coming in and you got Calc 1 and you're going to start at Calc 2, for example, the expectation is going to be you understand Calc 1 and you're just going to move, and you may, require extra work at the beginning to kind of get yourself caught up. I mean, it's about the best way I can explain it and think about it.
Okay, thanks. Musa or Whitney or Layla, did any of you have experience with that you want to add from the student perspective? One of you maybe? If you didn't, that's okay. All of you did you come in with AP credit or it's okay. I guess no, but it's all good. But Chris, I would agree. It really does depend on the student. And I think too, it depends on the score you get, and how confident you feel in your AP credit. And I've seen, from my perspective, I've seen students who say they wish they would have just retaken the courses, and I've seen students who did just fine. So the self-assessing is, I think, really good advice. Okay, so I am going to pivot a little bit here. I'm just, where did each student live as a freshman? And is there anything they would have wanted to change in their decision of the dorm they stayed their first year? So I know Whitney and Musa, you both lived on campus. So Musa, do you want to start?
Yeah. Freshman year, I lived at Lux on Capitol, which is like our apartment style living, basically. Um, Is there anything I would have wanted to change? I wouldn't say so. I actually really enjoyed my time living at Lux. I had 3 other roommates, and basically how it works is like you have your own bedroom, bathroom, and then you have like your shared common area. Um, I mean, it was pretty fun, honestly. Like, we would hang out in the common area, maybe do homework together, or just like have a little get together with other friends, and then um, yeah, I mean, I enjoyed Lux.
I also lived at Lux. It is apartment living. I would say apartment living is very nice. You get your own bedroom, bathroom, and then also like a kitchen. It was very convenient, like a 15-minute walk to campus. I like that there was also the sh campus shuttle that would go by. So like in the winter when it's cold, you can just take the shuttle and it picks up right outside of Lux. And then also Kroger, there's a Kroger right down the street, not even a block away. That was really convenient. And then also, I hope it's okay if I backtrack a little bit, but going back to learning communities, I forgot to mention that like your whole floor of where you live is typically within the same learning community. So, for example, actually, Musa and I were on the same floor our first year. We were our RA was a motorsports major as well, and most of our floor was motorsports majors as well, and we would every Sunday, or not every Sunday, sorry. We would often have like watch parties for races or also just get-togethers, like floor events kind of a thing. But in the end, like we were all like motorsports majors, kind of similar interests in that sense as well. So it was kind of cool just to meet people on your floor. Yeah.
I think it was perfectly reasonable for you to backtrack because it was a good thing that kind of just played into all of it. Um, the next question that I have is, and Chris, I'm going to give this to you first. And the question is, how common is it to work for a racing team, for a student to work for a racing team during the school year?
Very common. Like like I said, every team's different. At the intern system that we created at HERDA, we have 3 systems engineers. We expect them at all 10 race events, starting at Daytona in January. And then they'll be with us at every race event all the way through Road Atlanta in October. Same with the other 2 interns that work in our fuel and tire area. And then we have the 3 interns during the school year. We just have them in like usually 5 to 10 hours a week just to help support a lot of the activities we're doing there. Every team's different. A lot of the mindset of especially the big teams, IndyCar teams, is they don't think in terms of internships. It's kind of a college term. When I was doing it full time, I didn't think about the person as an intern. I thought more of them as a part-time employee. So usually, if they think of you as a part-time employee, it's usually they're looking between 10 to 15 hours a week on top of your schooling that they want you in the office working or assisting. So.
Hey, I know a lot of students who are doing it, not like you, of course, but I think it is something that's really nice about the program being here in Indianapolis, of course, because there's those opportunities. And that's not just for motorsports, it's for all the majors with the industry being so close. I think, okay, the next question, it's definitely student questions. And can you please describe what a day in the life of being a motorsports engineering major? So, Layla, I'm going to give this one to you.
Okay. Um, it's kind of hard because like obviously in college you don't have the same schedule every single day, but I would say you're probably getting up around 7, 8 a.m. depending upon what time your first class is, and you'll spend most of your day at school for the most part, and then usually on either Mondays or Fridays or maybe Wednesdays, and this is for like an upperclassman, so junior or senior, you'll be spending a good 4 to 6 hours a week at minimum at DeLaura for practicum or capstone, which are basically not necessarily advanced courses, but it's courses for upperclassmen where you're learning hands-on techniques and showing that you understand skills and that you can demonstrate those in the real world. And that's pretty much every single week. I will say the assignments are very intensive. I know Chris was talking about assignments are due and assignments are due, but they can take a long time and they can be a lot of effort. But I feel like walking away from them, I've always learned at least 20% more than I would have learned in class. And that's not because the professors are bad. That's just because they really want you to practice self-learning and self-teaching. And I feel like that's a really invaluable skill that a lot of people really respect and have a lot of appreciation for.
Musa or Whitney, do you have anything you want to add, either one of you, or if not, it's okay?
I mean, I'd say like a day in my life as like someone who's a sophomore is like, as Layla was saying, get up early, go to your classes, be on campus for a majority of the day. Um, Most people's schedules vary, obviously, like not everybody's gonna have the same schedule, but you would like expect to spend a lot of time doing like your homework and assignments just because they do require like commitment. And also like expect to sort of learn to manage your time well in a sense, because that's probably one of the most important things that you'll need to learn coming into college and throughout your college career.
Okay, thanks to both of you for that. I like this next question. How are women supported in the program? Layla, do you want to start with that? And then Chris, if you've got things, please jump into, and Whitney, but get all perspectives here.
Yeah. Um, I wouldn't say there's like a specific program that's like we're here to support women and that sort of thing. It's more of knowing that your professors and your peers are there to help you and that they want to see you succeed and they want to see you move on in the industry. And every time we've ever had guest speakers or anything come in that were women, it's extremely, I would say, like exciting for them to see more young women interested in the industry because there is so few in like out of the main population. I know for a fact that Chris has hired many women from the program before, and I know that he wants to see all of us succeed and wants to just us to do well. And if you had questions, he would more than willingly probably direct you to someone who could answer them if it was a question specifically related to what it's like being a woman in the industry.
Whitney, do you have anything you want to add? I know you did a lot of like you've done some of the things that we've done with the Foundation and different things. So I don't know if that plays into it, but thought it worth maybe bringing.
Yeah, so there is a, sorry, hang on. I have gone to some of like the networking events that WIMNA, which is Women in Motorsports North America, has hosted, and they've, if you're not familiar with them, they've kind of grown over the past 2 years, but every year they have a Women in Motorsports conference in December, which I think is really cool because all women from all the over the industry will come to this one conference and you can network with them and also just like be inspired and get a lot of advice from them and maybe find a mentor as well. But even outside that conference, we have like a WIMNA Indy chapter, and then we also started a WIMNA collegiate chapter, so not Purdue affiliated, but it's still like in our local community, and I think it's really cool just to be able to go to those events and network with women in the industry. It's really inspiring, and then also just hearing from their stories as well as like their experiences in the industry and all of that, I think is super cool and important for um, for females who are also interested in going into the industry. So, yeah.
Yep. Thanks for bringing up the WIMNA. Like you said, it's not Purdue affiliated necessarily, but a lot of contacts within Purdue. So a lot of us are working closely. Chris, did I miss anything that you want to add? Or, I mean, I know we're starting to have more women in the program, which is terrific.
Yeah, I mean, I was just counting while everyone was talking. I think I've helped six young women get their career in motorsports. Megan, Rebecca, Caitlin, Lizzie, Nicole at Goodyear Racing. She did that one on her own, which is great. Yeah, I think there's more incentives. There are incentives out there. We've had a couple young women look to the UK as well. Some of the Formula One teams will do create diversity hire type just to help create that kind of community and comfort. So I've recommended to always don't look just here in Indy. I know I helped Rebecca get hired at Ganassi under a PNC initiative. Megan was hired at Herta under a Hyundai initiative. So I think a lot of the corporate sponsors within the industry recognize that there's strength in having a diverse workforce, and I think it's great. Like as the tech director at Brian Herta, I work very closely with Megan, and I couldn't do without her, to be honest with you. She's fantastic. Caitlin, I've talked with the chief operating officer of Ganassi, and they say Caitlin's career has just taken off. And I think, as young women coming into our program and then having great examples of young women achieving solid career paths within the industry, and any one of those I can reach out at any time and help create the network, and they're more than happy to help create a network or help you understand, because it does seem a little daunting, because it still can feel like a guy sport, and it's really not. It's really diversifying quickly, and I think that's awesome.
Thank you. And then, we have a question about just roughly how many people are in the motorsports program, Chris?
When you make that count, if you look at just sophomore, junior, senior, you're looking at probably sitting around 250, and then if you add the freshmen, you're around 350 total. Expecting to grow even more.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I think you already touched on this, but I think it's worth repeating. Does Purdue offer assistance, for the internships and the co-ops? I know you talked about that a little bit, but I know you mentioned that a lot of it's, people are just being tenacious. And so how much support's actually offered from, I know you give a lot of support personally, but can you talk about that a little bit?
So, Purdue has, they'll do the industrial roundtable. A lot of the teams or the companies, they don't really participate in that. They do a lot of their advertisement on LinkedIn or on their own website. That's where the tenacity comes from. I do get, if I hear about something, or if one of our industry supporters reaches out and says, "Hey, I'm looking for someone," I'll broadcast it. I make sure it gets broadcast at the sophomore and junior level. Some of it, it's important, like with these three students here, will tell you is staying networked helps. I know several teams that reached out to me and said, "Hey, I'm looking for some young people to come and help us." And I did it. We did the broadcast, and then 2 years later or a year later, I never hear from them again. And then I'll see them at the racetrack and say, "Hey, are you still needing interns for anything?" They're like, "Nope, we get a steady supply of resumes now." And that student network, once that company has established itself with 2 to 3 interns, then the students graduate and they help recruit the next batch of interns coming in. And that's why don't live in isolation. You know, you got to network within your own community, because that own community is going to help you get employment out there.
And so are the internships paid? Most of the ones you described?
Um, it depends on the team and the size of the team. So we pay all travel expenses. We pay daily rate at the track, per diem. We pay a shop rate and a travel rate. That I would say would be bare bones. There are, like, the bigger teams that have bigger budgets. You know, they'll pay more like a part-time employment, where they'll pay you a hourly rate, and uh, then pay you, like, expect you to be there 40 hours a week during the summer, but with the same travel. You know, if you're going traveling, they pay your travel expenses. They'll pay you per diem. You know, if they're paying you, if you're working as a part-time employee, you won't get an hourly rate at the track. You'll just, because you're just an employee at that point. We treat our interns more as contractors. That's why they get a daily rate at the racetrack. Every team's different. You know, I think the thing that you have to appreciate is uh, every race team's budget is really tight. People, they go watch St. Pete this weekend. You can watch the NASCAR race this weekend. Formula One's coming up soon, and everyone thinks that when they watch those cars go around the circuit, that that's the most expense that that race team have, and that's furthest from the truth. The number one budget expense that the team has is personnel, followed by travel. Those are your two big line items. Actually, running the car on the track is cheap in comparison to those two, believe it or not. So personnel budgets are pretty tight, and that's why getting an internship or getting a full-time hire at times can be difficult, and does require a bit of tenacity. And the last thing I'll say with that, Marilyn, and then I'll stop, is you have to engage the program. You have to engage outside, as much outside activity as you can, because the popularity of the program is making all of your resumes look the same. And I know these employers are starting to really focus in. It used to be unique that, oh, you're taking vehicle dynamics, and you're taking aerodynamics, and you're doing systems engineering, and you're building a IndyCar loom, and you know how to program CAN networks, and that's all great. But now you have a big group of peers that can do exactly the same thing. So what are you doing? That's the first thing these IndyCar teams will ask, is what are you doing that's different from your peers? Like, how are you engaging the program? What activities are you doing that are setting yourself apart? Very, very important.
So what are some of the things you would, this is my question, it's not what, so what are some of the things that you would suggest that, you know, recommend that students do to set themselves apart? I mean, they're taking the courses, but what kind of things are you think they're looking for?
They're looking for engagement. Like, it's really easy to look at a student's resume and see that they've just followed the plan of study pathway. You know, like Whitney with data mining, that's unique. Data analytics and AI is starting to become really big in the industry right now. I would say if you can do a special I usually support one or two students with a special project, engineering project. Um, it counts as a tech elective. Really push your tech electives into something unique. You know, there's what we're doing with the Motorsports Sim Club is really starting to take off, and um, that's a lot of the attributes that employers are looking for. I've had students, to get, not to go deep in the weeds, but I had a student who was down, and this is great. Arrow McLaren hiring an engineer. They called me about this student. I said, "Yeah, great student. Love having them in class." And they said, "Yeah, we're debating between your student and another student from Rose-Hulman, and we're leaning towards the Rose-Hulman student." And I just asked why. I mean, these people are my friends, and they're like, "Well, the biggest difference is we can see your student and I knew exactly what they meant when they said it, followed the plan of study and did nothing outside of it, where the other student from Rose-Hulman was engaged like in some activity that set them apart, like, oh, well, he built their own data system, or they engaged in this club building this or specifying this or engineering that. It's like, do something that just, don't treat college like a 9 to 5 job. You gotta engage, because all the employers are looking for engagement, and not just good grades, 100% yes, and then engagement, 100% yes.
Such great advice. And so I wanted to get that from you because I think that's helpful for everyone to hear. And I mean, I can say it till I'm blue in the face. Get involved, do some other things, so I'm glad to hear you say that. I know we're going to run out of time. We're at 9 minutes. And so I've got a question here that's definitely for students. It's a change of pace. What is one memorable experience you've had so far at Purdue in Indianapolis? So I don't know. Do one of you guys want to take this? Moose, I'm gonna put you on the
Yeah. I mean, I'll say I've had a lot of memorable experiences. Um, one that I just thought of, I guess, is freshman year. My roommate started like this tradition that we now do every year, where we like have a huge Friendsgiving where we invite all of our friends over and just like everyone brings food and we just hang out right before Thanksgiving break. So that's something that we've done last year and freshman year, and it was pretty memorable.
I have one I can add to that. Last semester, I've mentioned, I've been in the motorsports engineering program and club since I started school here. But last semester was the first time our team had won in quite a few years, and I was really grateful to be the crew chief on that team. Um, I feel like I had really great leaders who helped me get into that position to, number one, even be a crew chief on one of the karts, but to be able to lead a team that did well enough to finish first in a race, which I was very happy to be a part of. And I'm very proud of my team. And I'm excited to do it again this spring. I'm just a little anxious.
Yay. Okay, Whitney, are you good to give one of your memorable experiences?
Yes, I'm having a hard time thinking of like one. There's like so many. But I guess one of like the first things that come to mind was like recently, um, I was walking back actually with Musa from one of my classes, and we ran into our chem professor from first year, and he basically walked with us from like the building we had lecture in all the way to our next building, and we just talked with him, and he's just a really cool dude, and yeah, it was really fun to just catch up with him after not seeing him for a while. But yeah, that's just kind of what came up to mind. It's kind of different, I guess, but
No, it's perfect. And I think it kind of shows one of the things that are really special about here in Indianapolis, that you really do get to know your faculty. You get to know, I mean, not just the other students, but classes can be, small. And so you get a lot of attention, and it's nice, I think. I know, okay, we are only have really time for probably a couple of more questions. And so, Chris, you can jump in this too if you want to, but I'll start with the students. Layla, what do you wish you knew before starting the motorsports program?
Time management. I'll start out with saying that. It's a skill I thought I had in high school, but I definitely didn't have as hard of a grasp on it as I wish I did now. And even now, sometimes I still struggle with it because I kind of don't realize how time intensive an assignment is going to be until you're really in it. Um, but it's a good idea to get started for things early rather than later, is my biggest piece of advice.
Musa?
Yeah, I'm gonna say the same as Layla. In terms of like what I wish I knew before starting motorsports specifically, not really anything. I mean, I feel like the program is pretty good at um, teaching you everything that you need to know. Like you don't really have to come in with any prior knowledge or anything. But I definitely wish I was better at time management before starting.
Are we 3 for 3, Whitney, or do you have something else to
I
say?
was gonna say, since I can't say time management, I'm kidding. I would say definitely like just to take care or take advantage of the resources there's a lot of opportunity. I feel like as a freshman, you think that like, oh, I'm just a freshman, I'm not gonna like have to worry about internships or anything of that until like junior senior year. But I feel like the resources here and like the seminar class that you take your freshman year, they all really help you set up and give you confidence to go and like put yourself out there into industry and like making connections. So definitely like as a freshman, those opportunities are there. And if you're not like comfortable fully like just putting yourself out there right off the bat, like there's people here that are also willing to help you, like help you set up your resume, help you get your LinkedIn. I'm learning about like all these resources like the Purdue OWL, which I'm not sure if you've heard. You probably used it for your like MLA, APA citation stuff in high school, but they have a on campus writing lab as well. So like things like that, they have like workshops and um, helping you write professional emails, things like that. Like I'm learning about these things now and I'm like excited about those. But yeah, I would say definitely take advantage of the resources because they can help you significantly just get more out of your freshman year and get like a head start, head start.
Okay, Chris, as a motorsports professional and a faculty and director of the program, is there anything you wish you would have, I'm going to end it on this and then I'll wrap it up. Is there anything you wish you had known before you had really had this career in motorsports?
What a great question. And I only have 3 minutes to answer. I can't answer that in 3 minutes. For me, I've been doing it since '95. It was a passion of mine that I actually developed as a undergraduate at Purdue in the Grand Prix. I love every minute of it, and at times I hate every minute of it. It's a real sacrifice at times, um, but you know, I say it best. One of the ways is, I've been on the front row at the Indy 500. I've come close to winning that race, and as an engineer, you're standing on that timing stand at the start of the race. There's only 33 other engineers in the nation that you're competing against, and so you're literally one of the best, uh, ranked very high among my peers. But it's those people, from the engineers to the mechanics to the team managers, all great, unique personalities. And when I look back, um, I've made some serious sacrifices. I almost didn't get to see my daughter born. I missed weddings, missed birthdays, missed holidays, but I wouldn't give any of it back because I love it. I mean, it's going to the racetracks like being home a lot of times.
Okay, that kind of tells us why you're such a awesome director of the program. And because I think when you've lived it and really seen all of this firsthand, you can really do a particularly really nice job of, you know, teaching the students and running the program. And it's awesome. I love that answer. Okay, so we are down to 1 minute. And what I want to end with is, if you haven't visited, and if it's possible for you to visit, I would strongly encourage you, to come to campus, see what's here. We have if you've signed up for a Produce for Me already, we have added some extra things, one of which in the morning will be an open house of the day of the Produce for Me. And you will have the opportunity to visit Delara, and you'll get to meet Chris in person and probably some of the students here today in person. We've also added something the night before. It's at the Skyline Club, which is a venue that's downtown, and it really does show incredible views of the city, and it will give a really good idea of what the city is like and what you can see. So, if you can't come, we understand that, but I think it's really important, if you can, to come visit us. We also have engineering information sessions. So, please just consider that if you can. The other thing is, if we didn't get to your questions, I think there are probably a few questions in the chat that we didn't get to. Send them to us. I think my colleagues and students who are behind the scenes answering the questions can put our address in the chat so you can see it. So just send us, and we have had others follow up from the webinars that we've done with the other majors. Do it. We really do want to hear from you. Okay, thank you. That's the last thing I want to say is thank you to the panelists. Thank you, Chris, for spending your time with us tonight, Layla, Musa, and Whitney. Thanks so much. And then mostly thanks to all of you in the audience who took your time to come and listen to us. Okay. Everybody have a good evening.